There we go. Taking myself off mute. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you today. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. And I'm excited to be here with you today. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Okay. If you are somebody who's looking to break beyond like that little area, a stuck area in your business that you've always looked to break beyond, well, today's your day. Today's your conversation to be inside of. And let's go. Let's get into it, guys. For those of you who do not know, my name is Cheston Bulgin. I'm with Buy the Books Consulting. I'm actually the founder and CFO at Buy the Books Consulting. We help you with the numbers. Okay, we help you with understanding that number story so that you can have a point of focus in your business and go to work to grow it to the levels that you want to create freedom, wealth, and legacy inside of your business, be able to keep more of your hard-earned money. Those are some of the things that we do here at Buy the Books Consulting. So if you're in this conversation, welcome. It's good to be with you today. And I'm hoping that you get some really good value out of this talk. All right. So we're not going to be here for too long today, but I do really want to get into some trucking industry specific terminologies and conversations, if that makes sense to you. Okay. So real quick before we get started, the following is for educational purposes only and is not to be considered financial, accounting, or legal advice. Please consult your tax, accounting, and or legal professional for specific advice. And the principles on which we stand, there are pillars, a foundation, if you will, that go into this communication that we have every single week to help you really stay on point when it comes to where is it that your business may be out of alignment when you want to move it forward, right? So the main thing, number one, priority-wise, is what we call mindset mastery. We got to govern how we process life. We call this intentionality, also called mindset mastery. The number two is financial mastery or financial literacy, understanding the number story. Now, if you're not somebody who's really used to understanding the numbers to a great degree, you're not really good at this area, well, there's always an opportunity to get good in this area. I've been reading numbers for a very long time, all right? A very, very, very long time. And I have it that I can always get better at reading the number story inside of what I do, right? There's always areas of improvements for things that I can see a little bit more clearly inside of what's happening in the patterns of a business, okay? It's an exciting place to be, to have financial mastery, is what I want to say. All right, number three is structures or system mastery. So how do we get things done? How do we get more things done with less effort? That's the conversation of system mastery. We create systems and structures. We build our actions upon each other so that we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. We can do a lot more with less. All right. And then lastly, actions, execution mastery. Nothing really happens out here unless we take action, all right? Specific actions. And today's conversation is going to be in that realm because a lot of the times we'll do things. We'll be taking actions inside of our business, especially if you have a trucking company. There's so many moving parts, all right? Just to be straight, there are a lot of things that go on with running a trucking company. There are compliance issues, obligations rather. There are, financial obligations. There are, you want to take care of your fleet, your drivers, make sure that they're okay. And you want to have a good administrative team that you have good communication with. And there's a balancing act inside of that, right? So you want to make sure you're going and giving attention to the things that deserve it, right? And a lot of times what happens is we get caught up in the day-to-day of the routine or an autopilot, and we're not necessarily directed toward taking the actions that will move the business forward to a large degree, all right? So if you ever experience being in the same places year after year after year after year without that growth, or you haven't really understood exactly what it takes to get to that next level inside of your trucking company, most likely it's because you're just spinning your wheels, taking actions that aren't moving you forward, right? You don't have that laser focus to take those actions that are actually necessary to move it forward, okay? So we're going to have that conversation today. And how do you get that clarity inside of your business? All right. This conversation today is about, excuse me, guys, absolute focus. Absolute focus. What is it that I can actually focus on in my business that will make the difference in what I do? Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. All right. Growing your trucking company in 2024 and beyond, maximizing your fleet efficiency, plan for success with absolute focus. This concept of absolute focus I got from a mentor of mine, and I've always thought that I was a focused individual, right? I had a game plan, I had goals that I wanted to accomplish, places I wanted to get to, and I would take those actions, right? But then there are moments where I would experience, well, I don't really know what to do, so I'm just doing stuff because I feel I need to do things in order to move it forward. But what is it that I really need to do? What's going to be the action to take? Sometimes it's a mystery to me. I didn't know at that time. Now, when I got this concept of absolute focus, well, there's an alignment process that takes place. Well, for one, yeah, definitely I'm ambitious. I have these goals in mind, these things I want to accomplish. So that's there. There, we call it an intention. Like what is it that we want? Right. And sometimes, like when I come across other people, the intention is not there. It's not clear. Like, what is it that you intend? All right. So most of the time, what I hear in my conversations with clients and people that come and have a conversation with me, I hear what they don't want. I hear that they're tired of being a certain place in life. I hear that, they don't want to deal with the same BS that they've been dealing with. And it's really rare, but refreshing when I actually hear somebody say, this is what I really want. And it's clear and it lands like a thud. Boom. It's like, wow, there's power in that, understanding exactly what it is that you want. So when we come to the table, we need to actually understand through absolute focus. The first thing is, okay, what do we want to focus on? Where are we placing our attention? Where are we headed to? What is the intention that's giving us our focus? All right. The next thing inside of that was, okay, well, if I want this thing, there's a gap, right? So I've created this intention and there's a gap here. Now, how do I understand that gap? A lot of the times we don't understand what the gap is because we're not measuring things. Gaps are only found in the measurements. Okay, so let's get into this conversation about understanding and identifying what the gaps are. All right. First, we need to have the intention. Then we're going to have to create the gap. All right, declare that gap. Okay, so inside of trucking, I want to get into this conversation with you real quick. I was speaking with somebody, a client of mine, and their operation really does about $5,500 per load that they take on. Okay, and they were doing about 2 to 3 loads a week per unit. So basically that's going to give them somewhere around 16, grand a month. 16.5 a week rather for loads if they keep doing that on 3 loads, somewhere around 15 and 16,000 per week. All right, per unit. Now, that's not bad, is what I want to say. It's pretty decent. It's okay. But at the same time, there's a new opportunity, right? That actually not really new. It actually came up a few times through our business where he was able to get these loads for $15,000, right? One load. And he could do 2 of these per week, per unit, right? And the model for a long time consistently stated this 2 to 3 loads per week with $5,500 per load. And get this, guys, because a lot of us do this, right? He's working hard. Sometimes he's actually an owner operator, and he goes out there, he's working hard. Something he's driving these trucks, he's trying to get all these loads in himself. Sometimes outside of compliance, don't do that, right? Sometimes doing extra, right? So he's pushing himself is what I want to leave you with in that communication. He's working day and night to make sure he's getting all these loads in per week, $5,500 each one, right? To keep the business moving forward. And why? There was an opportunity that presented itself to get one of these loads for $15,000. He could actually do 2 of these per week with the unit. And then he'll go back to doing the same MO and not take up more business that looks like this, right? So this is what we call a lack of focus. This is what I want to bring us to. There's an opportunity. There are opportunities, and it might be something like this, or it might be some other area of business in which something presents itself as an opportunity, and that we don't give it the energy and attention that it needs inside of like where we're headed in business with extreme focus, right? But so why isn't he moving into this? And you may relate to this if you're in this conversation. You may actually understand some of this, because maybe it's like, okay, well, that only comes around once in a while. I don't know how to do um, that consistently and reliably. And this guy in particular, the conversation was I would drive across the country, and do this load, but they actually have me stop, when the sun goes down, because it's a permanent load that he drives, right? So he has to shut it down, and he's used to driving, right, late. He's used to driving as much as he can through the evening and in the early morning hours, so that he can get to where he's get to drop off that load. So he's used to pushing it, right? And then he had it that, well, this was like something where he had to shut it down every single day. There was lack of that freedom, right? Get what I mean here, guys? Some of you guys are hearing this and like, yeah, man, I'm like, yeah, they're telling me I got to shut it down. This is my business. Why are they telling me I got to shut it down? I want to keep moving. I need to keep the wheels going, right? Now, check this out. He wants to grow his business. He wants to scale his business. Now, if we're inside of an absolute focus conversation, like if my intention is to scale my business and grow it fast and make a lot of money in the business, there's an opportunity that presents itself where I don't have to push myself as hard, and I can get a load consistently, reliably, to make more money with like a whole lot less effort, right? We're cutting that effort by at least 30%. And it's going to give us a lot more peace of mind, a lot more rest. We're not pushing ourselves anymore to produce this amount of revenue, right? So the question is like, well, why not? Why not do this? Well, it's the thing we get out of alignment, guys. We don't focus. We don't have that focus in our business. We don't have the attention directed in the areas that are going to serve us. There's something inside of us that runs in the background that says, this is not for me, or it causes me to miss it. But what I want to bring to you today is the opportunity that it is to be out here in reality and just put things on paper, see them, say, okay, this makes sense. Me doing this 5,500, the 2-3 loads a week, killing myself versus 30,000 a week and relaxing. It's a no-brainer, right? But we don't take the time to think, okay, well, what is it that we can do to shift it here? We think that there's so many challenges in the way. He has it that, there aren't that many loads like this around, right? And has he done the looking? Not really, right? This is a connection that has these loads. Consistently, they have these loads every single week, right? So he's thinking about, okay, well, it doesn't really work the way that we're built. How do I get a backhaul going this way, right? And there's so many things that are in the way of me actually achieving this thing. Now, this is what I want to bring to the surface, guys. The focus and attention goes to the challenges, the things that are in the way, rather than the solutions to make sure that this thing moves forward. The job for you and I, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, is to be able to deliver consistently and reliably our ability to keep our eye and our focus on what it is that we want to accomplish. Yeah, there are going to be challenges, but my job is to say, okay, well, how is it that I can actually create this beyond those challenges? Can I see beyond the challenges to the solution? Is that my focus, right? So inside this conversation, there are so many things that get in the way of you being able to see exactly where you can focus your efforts to go to work. Now, there's a way that we can do this, guys. We can take a 30-day challenge, a 30-day game, and say, okay, well, how can I actually create, this model of business in the next 30 days? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I get to be? What actions do I need to take in order to have this be the consistent operational flow for my business, right? That would be the area of focus. Every single day, I'll be taking at least one action toward that focus. Because my goal is to have 2 loads per week that deliver $15,000 per load. And now I take my business from a $64,000 per month operation, or $65,000 per month operation, to a per unit, by the way. That's just per unit to 130,000 operation per month. Oh, what kind of difference would that make? If you were to just take that one choice, that one action, and give it all you got for the next 30 days. Take away all attention to whatever obstacles or challenges you think there may be, and just find out how to actually resolve this. Now, I'm talking about this one specific thing because this was an opportunity that was presented, and this is something that to this particular person, and this is something that is there as a consistent and reliable option for this person to get in. If not two loads per week, it could be one load every other week, and it still can make the difference inside of the business. But that volume is there, and the focus is not. Is what I want to say. So if I can actually get him to see and shift and focus on doing whatever it takes to secure this consistently for however amount of time per month to add to his fleet operations, it will make the tremendous difference. He can have ease. He can lay back a little bit. He can have his thoughts gathered. He can have peace of mind. We can actually create something where now he has excess money to which we can actually funnel into things in which he gets to keep it instead of pay taxes on it. Right? He can start hiring people to scale it, so he doesn't have to be in the day to day. He can create the systems and the structures in his business to create more of this with ease. He can buy back his cash flow. He can spend more time with his loved ones. Get what I mean, guys? This one decision, and if we go all in with it, can make the difference in life. So I want to ask you the question, are you focused? But what does it take to be focused, right? First of all, we need to see these things, okay? Sometimes we don't have the vision to see. And so how do we see? All right, a lot of times it deals with the technology that we have to capture all of the things that we do in business. And then being able to go back to the metrics based on the data that we capture to see what's been working in business and what has not. Sometimes it might not be as simple as this. It might not be as simple as somebody coming and saying, look, I got a $15,000 run that you can do. All right. Just come on board, do this run. It takes about 2.5 days to do it. 15,000. It may not be like that for you, but there are other opportunities. Okay. So let's take a look at some of those other opportunities. What might they be? All right. Now I want to bring to the conversation something that we've been looking at over the last several weeks about data and metrics and like what we can look at to determine like how we move from here. Now we looked at this chart. If you've been in a conversation with me for a little while, you've been looking at this chart and it's like, well, this is fuel prices. This is diesel fuel prices over the last really 20 years. Okay. And well, how can I use this information for my benefit? And why do you even have me looking at this thing, Justin? Because right now we can see it doesn't have to become a mystery inside of what I do choice-wise. I can make decisions based off of this information that will set me up for wins every single time. Okay. Now we looked at the price ranges like at $4 a gallon. Like right now we're at a low point, all right, for fuel prices. Possibly, like we don't know 100% which direction this is going to go, but we have an indicator, a possible indication of what may happen, right? We're at a low point for fuel right now, and we want to take advantage of the low point, with everything that we've got. And we also want to know that this is a low point, and at some point, these prices may go up, and it's going to impact the way that you profit inside of trucking. So what are the things you're doing to maximize your efficiency, like and hold on to your revenue and put revenue aside in these moments, or money aside, cash aside in these moments where you're going to be more profitable in the business, right? Because right now we have this, all right, this is one, fuel prices are down, okay? And then if we're looking at spot market rates, all right, spot market rates, and I want to do something here. Let me just pull up some of the historical information that we have on the like trucking and trends in trucking over the last few weeks. All right. I'm going to be looking at a chart here, guys. Really like a spreadsheet here that we've been tracking to see what fuel prices have been recently. I'm sorry, with line haul rates. These are spot market rates across the country, market rates for freight across the country that we've been looking at for the last several weeks. Now, right now, these are trending upward. Okay, this is what I want to say about that. Because if I take a look at, let's do this. I'm going to share a new screen, guys, so that you can see this. All right, so I want you to see this like pretty clearly. I want to get a side-by-side view so you can see what's going on here. Okay. Now, if I zoom out on this, and hopefully you can still see the numbers here. Look, these are flatbed rates on the spreadsheet. This is from last week, 115. And this week's data, this is 122, right? This week. If you look at the Midwest, it was at 270, right? And now it's at 273. Okay. It's an uptick, right? So favorable. These are favorable conditions. The previous period, this was actually up 1.32% from the previous period. This was. Now, I don't have this data on this spreadsheet, but it's up again, right? So we're looking at like the trends. We got fuel prices that are trending like at the low and spot market rates are at the high. So right now is a great opportunity, all right, for whoever is operating to take full advantage of the profitability, all right? If you're somebody who does spot market rates, it's for somebody who's actually out here using load boards and booking loads that way. This is an opportunity right now for you to take full advantage of the times, right? It won't be like this for long, most likely, right? What I'm saying is that this is a good point to capitalize on the market right now. So what are you doing, right? This is what I mean, absolute focus. We're talking about that. How do you gain information and insight in order to focus on specific areas? Well, now I need to know, well, I'm going to take these extra 5% of revenue that I'm getting. Maybe I split that in half. Maybe I take 2.5 of that 5% and I put it somewhere, right? So that I know that I'm actually hedging my position with something else, right? That I know is going to make money, right? Put in an interest-bearing account, put it toward some type of money market accounts, something else besides what you're doing to make sure that that capital, those reserves, that cash is going to be there to move your business forward when the things are not going to be like this. Is what I want to say. All right. This is another area that we can say, okay, where's my focus? Am I just going through the day to day, or do I have something that I'm doing to move my life forward for me in this area? Right. It doesn't have to be like a mystery. It doesn't have to be like, okay, well, I may be lucky this time. I may be unlucky that time. Such is the market. Such is how things are going in the industry. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be very strategic. Now, if you took that, right, even that thought process and said, okay, what am I working on meticulously right now to actually hedge my position to make sure that I'm good to go in the future based on like current market is favorable, right? I would consider this to be favorable right now. When freight rates go up and fuel prices come down, that's a favorable favorable place to be, right? So while we have favorability, what are we doing with it? Okay. There's another thing we can look at, guys. One more example, and then I want to bring this home, okay? Here's some financial statements of a trucking company, okay? Doing pretty well, revenue-wise, right? But not able to keep. I'm just going to sit down with this, guys. I want to be here with you. And guys, if you're watching, chiming in, if you have any questions, you can do so. You can type in the chat. I know we don't do that a whole lot, but you can. I haven't really communicated that, but you can type in the chat if you have any questions about what I'm going over. All right, if you're live and you're with me. Even if you're watching this video recording, you can type something here. If you have a question about it, just let me know. All right. But if we look at this, I'm going to zoom this in more so that you can see. All right. But this is good. Gross profit is good. This profit margin is pretty decent, right? But then we're looking at, well, fuel comparison is only 6% of revenue, and that's fantastic. That's not bad, right? And then there's an impact to all these other things that we're not looking at and take into account, like fuel. Fuel is probably going to be one of your number one costs inside of operations, right, for a trucking company. They're doing pretty decent. They do local runs, so they're not really burning a whole lot of fuel. All right, they're not going over the road or doing those things. Plus, they get bulk discounts, so they're doing pretty good in that area. Right, that's why they're able to get this. Okay, but another way, I mean, if you're not that specifically, there are ways for you to actually get favorable fuel rates, and that's what I would want to do. That's what I would want to do: get favorable fuel rates. If that were not the case, I do everything that I need to do to get that. Right, but they're doing pretty good. Now, the other thing is factoring. Right, so factoring fees. Right now, we don't think about it when we start doing a lot of volume. Like that's almost a $400,000 salary. If you paid somebody a $400,000 salary to come into your business as a C-suite executive, they would take your business up per year, probably about 20% for most companies, because it takes a high level of efficiency to run a company. Like somebody is getting paid $400,000, they're pretty good at what they do, to come in and run your business and increase you not just by 2%. You take that little 2% back to gain 20%. That's possible, right, to do. Right, so that's another area. I mean, I'm going down the line here, guys, to illustrate how it is that you can focus. Now, if you're not set up to really track this information this way, well, then the focus would be to make sure you're set up to track information in a way that has you know what's going on down to the penny, like what everything is. All right. Now, there are technologies that we can use. QuickBooks is something that we can use to track financials, right? Trucking management software is something that we can use to track all fleet operations and financials, right? There's a gap, though, between like what a TMS, a trucking management system, a software, would be able to do holistically versus having some other financial application to bring everything together, right? But you want to know this information. You want to have the systems in place to do that, right? So if you do not have it, that will be an area of focus. Make sure that you can see, you can measure everything, you can get it clear, right? And have the team that's on your side that can get you this clarity inside of your operations down to the penny, right? That would be fantastic action to take and a fantastic place to focus. But what if we were able to redirect some of these areas and actually increase profitability by 10%, 20%, 30%? There is an opportunity here to do that just by redirecting where funds are going, right? Because at the bottom line here, guys, and I want to say this and wrap up, we're getting toward our closing time. The bottom line, all right, if we take a look, is that industry standard, you can actually, like a lot of the companies in the industry on average are getting about 6% at best of net operating margin, okay, net operating income. Now, if you're not familiar with that terminology, like net operating income, we talked about this. One of the pillars is financial mastery, financial literacy. This is something that we want to really understand for ourselves when we're looking at our business, because if we don't, then we're going to keep doing the same things over, and we're not going to get the result that we really want in life. We're going to be held back. We're going to be stuck, and we're not going to be able to get out of life what we want in this area. Okay, so it's important to have that level of financial literacy to come in here and look at these numbers so that they make sense, right? But the net operating income for this, it could be so much better. They could keep a whole lot more, guys, right? So what I'm talking about right now is absolute focus. This year, I mean, this is like, I would focus this year on raising this bottom line at least to 6-7% or above, right? To be at industry standard or more, because there is room there to improve this. It doesn't have to be a mystery. There are specific actions, even as I'm looking at this myself, that I see could be taken to deliver on that, right? So, guys, what I want to leave you with here is to actually get the clarity inside of your business so that you can focus and crush it this year in 2024. I'm hoping that this conversation was helpful to you, that you got a lot out of it. I will see you next week. Take care. Talk to you then. Bye bye.